Hello everyone and welcome back to the 1909 match between Jose Raul Capablanca and Frank James Marshall. This is game 7 and even though we've already reached game 13, I said that we will go back to game 7 at one point. So this is that point. Capablanca is currently leading the match 7-1. It's first to 8 wins, draws don't count. And once again, Marshall has the white pieces, and it's a really one of the better achievements Marshall got in this match they played. So without further ado, really do hope you're having an excellent Saturday. Now let's enjoy this game. Marshall opens with d4, as he often does in this match. We have d5, c4, e6, we have knight to c3, and the knight to f6. The queen's gambit declined is on the board, and we have the line that two of them have been playing this match for the entire time. e3, and now knight to e4. Capablanca goes once again for the Lasker variation. Bishop captures, queen captures, and now bishop to d3. Again, we've seen later that in game 11 and onward, c captures on d5 has been adopted by Marshall in this match. But now knight captures on c3, b captures on c3, and now Capablanca doesn't go for d captures on c4 and b6 like he did previously. Now he goes for bishop to d7. Perhaps he thinks Marshall perhaps found different ideas against this, so he changes lines. Knight to f3, we have castles by Capablanca, and now c captures on d5 finally by Marshall. E captures on d5, and now queen to b3, pressuring the d5 pawn, and also preventing the light square bishop from being developed in the future, as currently only the bishop is defending the b7 pawn. Knight to f6, the knight from f6 now defends the d5 pawn. We have a4 by Marshall, and now c5. Capablanca doesn't have to bother himself with the c6 move, so immediately going for that center. Again comes with a threat of playing c4, and here queen to a3. Here queen to a3 does work because there is no rook on a4 to be attacked by bishop to d7 like we've already seen. Now the pawn is pinned, the queen on e7 is undefended, and it's Capablanca's move. We have b6, strengthening the center. Perhaps the light square bishop will be developed this way. a5, attacking the b6 pawn, wanting to open up the a file, and the bishop to b7. Very nice. Marshall finally castles, and here we have queen to c7. We have rook f to b1, and here Capablanca said that he already felt that Marshall was a lot better. He transferred all of the play to the queen side, and it's very hard for Capablanca to make a move. And here, later after the game, Capablanca said that he should have played rook f to b8, and here he might, muster up some sort of a defense. But he played knight to d7, and the move Marshall played here is something Capablanca didn't even take into consideration. The knight now serves as additional protection to the c5 pawn, to the b6 pawn. And Marshall plays a move that's an excellent move. Capablanca never even thought about this move. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the move Capablanca missed in this game. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations. You have just found a move Capablanca missed. I mean, that's a success in itself. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, bishop to f5, attacking the defender. So what's the problem here with this position? The problem is, and the core of the problem is, that the queen on c7 is undefended, which you'll see in a few seconds. So what can black play now? Obviously, you want to keep, it'd be best if you could just close up the entire queen side, so this rooks and queen don't really do anything on the queen side, but it's very hard to do this. You can't really trade down. If you play something like c captures on d4, you get c captures, and now, again, you're facing the same problem. Let's say you go bishop to c6, you get rook to c1, simply pinning the bishop here. And after rook a to c8, you would get a captures on b6, a captures on b6, and now queen to b3. And again, black is really struggling to find the move here. If you try and trade down some more, let's say we go rook a8, then you get queen c2 attacking the h7 pawn twice, and also a double attack against the bishop on c6. So not much you can do here. Rook captures now. You have freed yourself, and after h6, trying to get rid of all of the threats, you get bishop captures on d7. And now you have the problem that bishop cannot capture because the queen on c7 is undefended, and if queen captures, knight e5 attacks the queen and the bishop. So this knight e5 is a problem in a lot of variations. after this bishop captures the knight here. On the other hand, if you play something like c4, trying to close down the center, saying, okay, I'm just going to close it up after a captures on b6, I don't really care if white plays this, then you face queen to e7. We already said the knight is now attacked twice, and you can't move the knight because the queen on c7 is unguarded. And after rook 8 to d8 defending, again, you get this very nice knight to e5 move. The knight still can't capture. The queen on c7 is unguarded. And after bishop to c8, giving more defense here, now you get a captures on b6. A captures on b6, and now rook to a8, attacking the defender of the d7 knight. And here, after black makes a move, you don't really have a useful move. You have to play something, h6. Now you get bishop captures on d7, bishop captures on d7, rook captures on d8, and now you have to decide. Either you will capture with the queen and then you will lose a piece, or you will capture with the rook and then queen captures on f7 comes, king moves, queen e7, knight to f7 is a threat. You can't move the rook because of queen captures on d7. And if you play something, just move the king, then white will simply bring his rook into the game and will very quickly win this game. And black is, for the rest of the game, pretty much without a move. So yeah, after this bishop to f5 move by Marshall, Capablanca decided to go rook f to c8, bringing a defender to the queen on c8, and we have bishop captures on d7. Queen captures on d7, and now a6 first. This is one other problem. Now you have to play bishop to c6, and the rook is no longer defending the c5 pawn. So you lose a pawn, but at least you've defended the position. Bishop c6, we have d captures, b captures, and queen captures on c5. So Marshall is here up a pawn, perhaps even for the first time in the match. Rook 8 to b8 by Capablanca. It's very hard to develop the rooks because you constantly have to keep an eye on this knight to e5 move, which would come with an attack against the queen, but also against the bishop here. And as the bishop is already attacked once, this rook can never leave this square. So it's odd that Capablanca plays this rook 8 to b8 move. He thought that tactics work in his favor, but this one particular time, the tactics actually worked in Marshall's favor. Marshall played rook captures on b8, we have rook captures on b8, and here knight to e5. It seems that Capablanca blundered the piece, but Capablanca had everything prepared here. He simply plays queen to f5, which makes sense. Now if you capture the piece, you get queen b1 check. Rook captures, and rook captures on b1 will be checkmate. But Marshall, after queen f5, simply played f4. He defends the knight and also makes an escape route for the king, king f2, king g3 if needed. Here we have a problem that now you still have to defend your bishop. Your bishop is under attack twice. If you just move the bishop, queen captures on a7, creates a powerful passed pawn. And after you move the rook, as your rook is under attack, now queen moves. Let's say you just go back, or queen d7, offer a queen trade, and now you have a passed pawn that's already on a6 coming to a7. It will be a winning position for Marshall. So after f4 we have rook to b6. Capablanca blocks the queen's attack towards the a7 pawn, and also the rook is guarding the bishop here. But while it does defend against these two threats, it allows Marshall to create another one. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find a move Marshall played, after which Capablanca resigned the game. I will give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you really know how to have a nice Saturday. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, the move is queen captures on b6. After Marshall played this, Jose Raul Capablanca resigned the game. So yeah, a wonderful game by Marshall. 25 moves beating Jose Raul Capablanca. This definitely counts as a miniature, and this will be the only game in the match Marshall wins. Why did he resign? Well, now if you capture the queen, then you get knight captures here, and there is no way to prevent this pawn from queening. If you go queen e6, we have simply a7, queen captures, a8, either rook or queen, rook captures, queen captures, and rook captures will be checkmate. But none of the other ideas work. So after this queen captures on b6 was played, Capablanca simply resigned. So a very nice victory for Marshall. At least, you know, he didn't lose the match 8-0. But yeah, like we said, now we go into the part of the match after. This is game 7, but we've already seen even game 13. And now, as I've already mentioned, Capablanca is leading 7-1. But the match lasted for 23 games. So how did this happen? if already on after game 12 Capablanca is leading 7-1. We'll find out in the next video in this series, which will be the final game, game 23 of the match, Marshall versus Capablanca, and then we are going to discuss a bit more about this match and what controversy there was to it. That's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Cheong Dean, Prakar Maini, Bojan Rosic, Giacomo Della Marca, and Leonidas Pavlidis for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with the final game of the match, as mentioned, and we are also starting up the Tata Steel series. Thank you all, and I will see you soon.